her, and then the tech was really mad at me because she was like, you can't throw things at people, and I was like, I'm sorry. Hey guys, it's Ari. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, hello, my name's Ari. I don't know what that was. Today, backstory. I'm already getting into a story. I promised to make this a shortish intro. Okay, backstory though. I've been gone for like 3 or 4 months, because I was in the hospital / treatment center. What am I doing with my hands? I was in a treatment center for an eating disorder vibes, and so I'm finally back, and I uploaded one video while I was in the treatment center. When I came home for Christmas, I uploaded it. And then I uploaded one the other day that I'm really proud of. That I did with my friend. We went to the park and picked up hundreds of pieces of trash because litter. I hate people. But I haven't really made a video about recovery yet, or about the treatment center, or about anything that went on, like why I went to the hospital, why I was in the treatment center, what happened, like any of that. And I'm not gonna make that. This video isn't gonna be like a huge story time about the past 4 months of my life. But I thought that I would do a Q&A and answer questions about eating disorders, about the treatment center, about me and what I've been doing. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm sorry for the long intro. Without further ado, let's get into the video. I printed them out. Also I was not going to wear my glasses because they glare, as you can obviously see, but I realized that I couldn't see the paper without them, so. Okay, first question is, do you have compulsive thoughts, and how do you deal with them? Okay, so this is like low-key. So eating disorders go with compulsive thoughts, and they also go with OCD a lot. Which OCD goes with compulsive thoughts, so that's why this is related. Yes, I do have compulsive thoughts. There's 3 different kind of like categories of compulsive thoughts for me. One of them is just compulsive thoughts, like I don't even know what. Like sometimes, actually this happened at the treatment center. I was walking and my friends were walking behind me, and there was a stress ball on the table. And I just had this compulsion to pick up the stress ball and throw it at my friend. And usually I don't do the compulsions. I'm like, that's funny. But for some reason I just didn't even think about it, and I picked it up and I threw it at her, and then the tech was really mad at me because she was like, you can't throw things at people, and I was like, I'm sorry. But yeah, just stuff like that where it's like, throw that, or well, I'm like a cat, hit that off the table, stuff like that, but then I usually don't do it. The other one is OCD compulsions, pressing when you cross the street and there's a button you press, pressing that 3 times. Oh, that's bothering me now thinking about it. But stuff like that. And then the last one is tics. I have tics, and I kind of want to make a video about it because while I've been editing videos lately, I've noticed that I tic a lot on camera and I look really weird. But yeah, so I have tics, which aren't necessarily compulsions, but they kind of are. So yeah. Oh, and how I deal with them. Like I said with the first kind of thing, I just ignore it. There's something that I saw on social media about compulsive thoughts, and it was to treat it like a 12-year-old boy. So it's that situation that I gave as an example. It's I'm walking and I see it, and I just imagine that the thought is a 12-year-old boy being throw that at your friend, and you're just shut up, and then you don't do it. With OCD, I don't deal with it. I just do the compulsions. OCD. I don't deal with it. And then with tics, yeah, it's a tic. So again, that's not something I guess you really deal with. If you have Tourette's, you do, but I don't have Tourette's. So yeah, I don't deal with it. I just do my tics. Were there any parts about ED recovery that you thought would be difficult but ended up being less of a challenge than expected? Yes. I thought that once I started gaining weight, because I was too little, I had anorexia, and so I was really small, and they were going to weight restore me, which weight restore means basically get you up to a healthy weight for your height, age, gender, body type, ethnicity. I just bit my tongue, all the different things. So it's called a set point, and it's the weight that your body wants to be at. So for some people that's overweight, but it's really not overweight, because that's their natural place where their body is. And for some people that's a little bit smaller, which I think is the case with me. I've always been really small. So I thought when I was getting weight restored, it was going to be really difficult once I started getting bigger, that I was going to freak out and just relapse, and my life would fall apart. But for some reason that didn't happen. and I really don't know why. I don't know why the universe was like being nice to me, but yeah, the body image part of it and like getting bigger actually didn't bother me that much, and I think that was because I started losing like a little bit of weight again. Okay, this isn't centered, so I'm just gonna fix it. Okay, before I went in, I started losing a little bit of weight, and I was like low-key looking not great. Like, it wasn't cute anymore. It wasn't like, oh, I'm skinny. It was like, wow, I look like I'm sick. And so then once I started gaining weight and like getting healthy, I think I kind of was like, oh, like I look good, I look better now. So that just wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. What is the worst thing about recovery? So yeah, when you're on weight restoration, you can't just like start eating normally and then you'll gain weight, because your metabolism like evens out. It's like a whole thing, and it's science and it's obnoxious. But basically when you're on weight restoration, you go from like a normal meal to like you add food at each meal, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger because your metabolism keeps catching up to it and you stop gaining weight, so you have to eat more food. So you start gaining weight, and then your metabolism catches up, so you have to eat more food and you start gaining weight, and then your metabolism, so it has to get more and more. And as a person who has had eating disorder for a long time and other stomach issues for a long time, my stomach couldn't hold that much food. So when I was on weight restoration, every time I'd get an increase, or just in general, I would throw up like a lot. And then of course, because throwing up is like an eating disorder behavior, I would get in trouble, even though they knew I wasn't doing it on purpose, because then anyone could be like, oops, it was an accident, and like just purge all the time. And so they had to punish me, so I got punished a lot for throwing up, which of course I didn't want to, I didn't want to throw up. Like, that was a part of my eating disorder before. That's not a part of my eating disorder now. And so I was like, this is terrible. And I hated it, and it was the worst. And I threw up a lot. And yeah. Is it easy to relapse, and is recovery hard? It is extremely easy to relapse. For me, it's not so much anymore. Like, again, I had this for like 4 years. So it was different at different times of the eating disorder. Does that make sense? But like as of now, for me, it was easy to relapse, not because I was like, I want to do behaviors, I want to get skinnier, I want none of that. Just because I've been used to living my life the way that I lived it. So when they discharged me and I came home, I went from 24-hour care to no care at all, just being home alone. And so when I was home, it was just easy for me to not follow my meal plan, because I'm like, I don't eat breakfast. Like, I've never eaten breakfast, and a lot of teenagers don't eat breakfast. And so, yeah, like I just like would wake up and go about my day and not eat breakfast, not because I was like trying to not eat, but because I didn't think about it. Like, that was never a part of my life. And so that was very easy to relapse. The first week I was home, I actually started losing weight again. And then I went to IOP a week later, which is called like intensive outpatient, which is where I go 3 days a week for like 3 hours or something. And so before I went there, I went there for my like assessment, and they're trying to figure out what days I'm gonna go, and I met with my dietitian, and she was like, yeah, so you lost weight, and we might have to put you back on weight restoration. And I was like, no! But yeah, anyways, I ended up not having to go back on weight restoration. I'm just eating like a fairly good amount right now. I'm still struggling a little bit, but I'm getting better. And so my weight's trending back up. So hopefully it'll get all the way back up to normal, so I won't have to go back on weight restoration. And is recovery hard? It's incredibly difficult, and it's the worst, and I hate it so much. But listen, there's 2 quotes that I love. One of them is, your worst day in recovery is better than your best day in relapse. And when I first heard that, I was like, that is BS. I had great days when I was in my eating disorder. Like, my life was great. I was thriving. It was fun, like, whatever. But I was like, but it's like a good sentiment, whatever. And then I got home and relapsed. And I was like, wow, this is terrible. I hate this. So it's very true. Your worst day in recovery is definitely better than your best day in relapse, even when it's the worst thing. Well, I hate recovery, but I also love it. And the other quote is, you have 2 choices. Can I even remember it? My therapist said this, and I was like, preach. Let's see, you have 2 choices, the pain of recovery or the pain of your eating disorder. The only difference is that one ends. And so I like that one because it's true, like recovery is so hard. Sometimes it's even harder than being in the eating disorder. Sometimes the eating disorder is harder. But recovery, like, you get recovered and then it's good and you're chilling and you're vibing. When you're in your eating disorder, that's just endless pain. Or you're literally forced to eat in a center. What happens if you refuse? Does that happen? Yes, 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 yes. So, okay. At the Center for Change, which is where I was at, which fun fact is like the leading place in the country for refeeding, and just they're amazing and I love them even though they made me throw up. But so the first day you're there, you're on what's called like the 50% rule, which means for the first 24 hours you're there, you have to eat 50% of all of your food. And then after that, you have to eat 100%. So every meal and every snack, you have to eat 100% of your food, which is why I would throw up. Because my stomach couldn't hold that much, but I had to eat it, and so I would, and then I would throw up because my stomach couldn't stretch far enough. If you don't eat your food, for example, I hate tomatoes with all my heart and soul, and they literally make me throw up, like, because they're gross and it makes me gag. So I would eat, like, all my meal, but then I would leave the tomatoes. They have what's called Boost, which is basically, like, Ensure, like the protein drinks. And so they calculate the calories that you didn't eat, and then they give you that many calories of Boost, and you have to drink it. So you're not like forced to eat necessarily, but you do, like, that's the rule, you have to eat, and if you don't, you have to boost. If you don't boost, you get punished, like you have to do this thing where you sit at a table and like do assignments, and then they'll do that a couple times, and if you still are refusing, then they'll put you on bed rest, which is where you have to lay in your bed all day and you can't do anything. And then if you keep doing it, they will put in a feeding tube. So I did not have a feeding tube because I don't know, I just didn't. So they don't like force you to eat, I guess, until you have a feeding tube, because then you have a feeding tube. And sometimes girls will try to take their tubes out, but that's really not common because ow. So yeah, you are expected to eat 100%. If you refuse, you get boost or you get punished for not boosting, and then eventually you'll get a feeding tube. So just eat your damn food. So you have to learn to be okay with your body. If so, how is that? Yes, I kind of touched on that earlier, but it's a huge thing about being okay with your body, accepting your body. Love that voice crack. If we had a class, like one of the groups that we did during the day, called Body Image, and it was with Nicole Hawkins, who is the like CEO of the Center for Change, and she's amazing, and she's a goddess, like literally a goddess. Yeah, she led a group called Body Image that was really cool. There's a lot of focus on like learning to accept your body and love your body, and mainly accept your body, because it's hard to just go from hating your body to the point where you have an eating disorder to loving your body. So like, yeah, there's a lot of work on learning to be okay with your body and accepting your body, and like being grateful for your body and everything it can do for you. For most people, it's incredibly difficult and incredibly hard, and it takes a long time. But for me, like I said, it was really easy, and I don't really know why, but I'm grateful. At what point do you know you need to try to recover? Okay, so listen, there was multiple points in my life where I was like, I'm gonna recover. None of those times worked, obviously, except for this time. Once was, I don't even know. I think it was just a random kind of time in my life where my girlfriend at the time and my friend at the time both struggled with similar things, and like, I guess it was just like maybe a lower point for me in my eating disorder, so I talked about it more, and so there was more conversation about it, and I was like, I'm gonna recover. And I did nothing to recover. I just like thought, okay, I'm gonna do it, and then I didn't do anything. Another point was like a year and a half ago, I went to a 21 Pilots concert, and I decided, so like if you follow 21 Pilots, their newest album, Trench, is about like DEMA, which basically the whole thing, like the whole album is about escaping what's controlling you, is like the theme of the album. So I was at the concert, and I started listening like to the lyrics, and I started crying, and I was like, oh my god, I have to escape what's controlling me. And so I was like, I'm gonna recover, but then again, didn't do anything. And then another time was when Shane Dawson released the Eugenia Cooney documentary about when Eugenia Cooney came back, and I've loved Eugenia Cooney for years before I had an eating disorder, during the eating disorder, in recovery. I've always loved her, and people say that she gave me an eating disorder, which is incorrect. Also, I usually listen to YouTube while I clean my room, so I would listen to her videos while I was cleaning, so I wouldn't even look at her, just for the record. I just love her as a human being, and she has a lovely personality. That sounds weird, but yeah. But yeah, when like Shane came out with that and she was talking about her experience and recovering, I was like, I'm gonna recover. Posted on my Snapchat. I was like, everybody, I'm recovering. Okay, that obviously didn't work again. Yeah, and then I was in the hospital, and then they were like, you need to go to the Center for Change and recover. And I was like, okay. There's also the side where you don't think you need to recover, where you're like, I'm fine, I don't have a problem, I don't need to recover, I don't want to recover. And that was obviously present, considering I didn't recover until I had to. So yeah, it's different for everyone. Sometimes, yeah, it's just different for everyone. How long does it take to learn to be okay with your body? I just touched on that a couple times. For most people, a long time, to be honest. Like, it's hard and it takes a really long time. Even after they're recovered, they don't like their body, but they just have learned to like be recovered. But yeah, for me, it wasn't that difficult. I am so lucky. Having an eating disorder pre-recovery, do you obsess or think constantly about your body? Yes, usually. Yeah, you do. I don't even know what to say about that other than just yes, you do, a lot. Like, even during recovery, like, I'll go to the mall and I saw this girl and her legs were like this big and I was like, wow, I want to be her. And I was like looking at my own legs and I was like, wow, my legs don't look like that. Or even just like when you're like getting ready to get in the shower and you look in the mirror and then you're just like looking at your body and you're like, what's this, like what's this, and you're looking at everything and like what you want to change about it. So yeah, I think people definitely do obsess about their bodies just because like the generation we're in, and because of like society, ew. But yeah, with an eating disorder, it's definitely a lot worse, and it can be 24/7. There's times where it's not 24/7, and it just like sometimes you get triggered. I hate that word, but that's what it is. You get triggered, and then you start thinking about it, or comparing yourself, or feeling bad about yourself, or like what I do, which is common, is I'll like, well, you can't see because of how I'm sitting, but I'll like pinch my stomach and like feel all the fat on my stomach. But then yeah, there's also times, and there were times in my eating disorder where it was 24/7. All I thought about was my body, and it was the worst thing ever, and it was terrible. When you have an eating disorder, do you realize you have one? If so, when do you realize that? If not, is it because you think it isn't that bad? Do you ever feel like it's not that bad, even if it is? That was a lot of questions. When you have an eating disorder, do you realize you have one? Sometimes. I always knew I had one. But it was kind of weird because I knew that I had an eating disorder. And I'd be like, oh yeah, I have an eating disorder. And it's like bad. And I'm going to treatment because I have an eating disorder. But then at the same time, I felt like I really didn't have a problem. Like, I was in an eating disorder facility. I was there because I had an eating disorder. I had an eating disorder for 4 years. And I had known it the whole time that I had an eating disorder. But then I would kind of be like, I don't have an eating disorder. Like, I would say that. And a lot of girls would say that. Sometimes it's a joke, sometimes because we were in denial. But, like, I generally, like, sometimes I was like, I don't have an eating disorder. Like, I just, like, that's just how I am. Like, that's just how I eat. Like, I don't have an eating disorder. I don't have a problem. Some people, like Eugenia Cooney, for example, they don't realize they have a problem until they're forced to realize it. They don't realize for a long time that it is a problem. Or, like, kind of how I was saying, you know that you have an eating disorder, but you don't think the eating disorder is a problem. Like, I knew I had an eating disorder, but I was like, I'm fine though. Like, I know that I have an eating disorder, but I'm really fine. Like, I'm living my life, whatever, that's just how I am. Like, it's not a problem. Yeah, that's kind of like about thinking that it's not that bad. Do you ever feel like it's not that bad even if it is? Yes. I had multiple people tell me while I was on inpatient, which is the unit for people that have like medical problems due to their eating disorder, and it's more like a hospital setting, and then you go to like the more therapeutic setting once you're like chilling. And I didn't have any complications for my eating disorder. My BMI was just so low that they had to put me there. And I would say, like, I don't think I have a problem, like, I don't think it's an issue, and people would be like, shut up, like, you trigger me, like, you're one of the smallest girls in the unit, like, stuff like that. I was like, and even now, like, it's kind of weird because I'm in recovery and I'm out, like, I'm living at home and everything, and if you said, like, if you asked me, how much food are you eating? And I would tell you, and then you'd be like, is that a problem? I would be like, no, that's not a problem. Like, I'm not eating enough. And I would be like, oh no, like, the amount of food that I eat isn't a problem. But then if you said, like, hey, have you not been following your meal plan? And I said, yeah, and like, is that a problem? I'd be like, yes, it's a problem. So it's kind of weird because I know I'm not following my meal plan, and that's bad, and that's a problem, I need to eat more. But I'm like, oh, this is how much food I'm eating, not my meal plan, and I don't think it's a problem. So it is definitely a really weird thing to be like, it's not a problem, it's fine, especially because your eating disorder is something that not only do you live with so long that it becomes like a part of you, but it's also like it tricks you into a lot of things. And like your eating disorder wants you to keep your eating disorder. It can't live without you feeding it, and so, or not feeding it. So it like says whatever it can to make you keep it. What am I talking about? Yeah, it basically just is like, it's not a bad thing, or it's a good thing, or it's just like a neutral thing, but it's never gonna be like, this is bad, like eating disorder, I'm bad, get rid of me, because it wants to stay. What do you tell yourself in moments of temptation? So, okay, once I got out and I relapsed, I was like, I need to figure out what my motivation is, because I don't want to go back to the center like full time. And so for a while, I was like, okay, well, I'm seeing, okay. I'm literally wearing a Black Robe Rides t-shirt right now, but listen guys, I stan JoJo Siwa, unironically. For reasons that maybe I'll make a video about at some point. It's in the highlights on my Instagram if you really care why I like her. But it's a whole thing. So I saw her last year, and I'm seeing her again in March, because why would I not spend $200 on that? But anyways, so I was like, okay, if you go back to full-time care, you can't go to the concert because you'll be in the hospital. And so I was like, okay, I gotta follow my meal plan, I gotta do this so that I can go and see JoJo in March and I won't be in the hospital in March. That was not doing the trick, let me tell you. I was not vibing. I mean, I was vibing, but I wasn't vibing with recovery. But then it kind of morphed. So if y'all have been following me for a while on, mainly on Instagram and like Twitter and kind of on my YouTube channel, I am a climate activist, environmental activist. Sorry, I had to yawn. And so I've been school striking for the climate for not almost a year, but like almost a year. And yeah, I've been doing that. I've been going to events and I've given like speeches and workshops and lots of stuff like that for the climate and the climate emergency and all that stuff. And while I was gone, my friend Raquel, who was striking a few months before me, we were like the two like OGs, but she's like the real OG. While I was gone, she was holding down the fort at going to strike and going to meetings and like doing everything that we needed to do while I was gone. So I came back, and like the week that I got home was the week she got a full-time job. And so she couldn't go to strike every week, she couldn't go to these meetings and facilitate things. And so those responsibilities fell back onto me. So now what I tell myself when I'm tempted to do something stupid or like do a behavior, or just when I'm lazy and I don't feel like following my meal plan, is that I'm not like, if I obviously can't recover for myself. We've seen that time and time again. I don't, even when I don't think it's a problem, I'm like, it's fine, I'm fine. I'm willing to like suffer the consequences because I have an eating disorder and I don't know. Now what I tell myself is like, I can't go back to full-time care. I have to be home and I have to be healthy, because I have to be able to get up in the morning and get on the train and go downtown and walk up the hill and be at strike. And I have to be healthy enough that I can go to meetings without getting exhausted or not being able to focus because my brain's foggy. Like, I need to be better, not just for myself, but for the sake of the movement and the world and the climate and activism. And so it's getting involved in something bigger than myself that has like really made the difference. So when I am in a moment of temptation, I remind myself how important it is that I stay and that I'm available to do these things within like the activism world. Last question was, do you feel physically stronger now? Like your muscles don't get fatigued that fast? Yes. So I didn't realize, it was such a gradual change that I didn't really realize it, but then when I relapsed, I did realize it. I would get really lightheaded and like my vision would go black. You know when you like get lightheaded and you stand up and then like your vision is like black on the sides and it like goes in like black and then it goes away? Yeah, well my vision would go almost completely black every time I stood up, and I would get really dizzy and I'd run into the wall sometimes. Or I would have to like lay down on the floor because I don't know, because I was so dizzy, and so I'd just stand up and I'd have to lay down, and it was really awkward. And I didn't really like realize that went away and that never happened. I never got lightheaded when I stood up because I was nourished. And then I got home and I stood up so many times and I was like, ugh. So that's one thing. And then yeah, like literally just my muscles feeling weak. Like feeling weak walking up the stairs. that wasn't a problem. Like when I was at the center, I could walk up the stairs, run up the stairs, like whatever. When I got home and I wasn't eating, I started walking up the stairs. I was like, oh my god, like my legs hurt. And I've actually started going back to dance, which is like actually really not hard at all. I was a dancer before my eating disorder and in my eating disorder, and before I was like, I could dance for hours and hours, and I would dance for hours and like not be tired. And then in my eating disorder, I mean, if walking up the stairs exhausted me, you can imagine how much dancing bothered me. And I actually auditioned when I was a freshman. I auditioned for like a dance company, like a competitive thing, and I got on, and then I had to quit because I was too weak and it was too hard, and because of anxiety. And so I've gone back to dance, and like I can go to dance and not get exhausted through the whole class, and it's really great. So yes, that's a big difference. I didn't really notice until I came back and I lost that because I relapsed. And I was like, I feel physically terrible all the time. And so now I feel a lot better. Okay, this was a super long video, so if you made it to the end, hi, thank you for caring enough to watch till the end. If you have any more questions, please comment them? If you have any more questions, please comment them down below and I will respond to you. If there's a ton, I'll probably just make a whole other video. But if there's just a couple, I'll be sure to reply to you. If you want to subscribe, I'm going to be making a lot more eating disorder and like recovery related content, and a lot more activism and like environmental related content, because that seems to be what you guys want to see, and that's what my life is right now. So I'm totally down to make that kind of stuff. So if you want to subscribe to see any of that stuff, go ahead and click the subscribe button, please. I like lost a bunch of subscribers while I was gone because I guess I wasn't posting, and so people unsubscribed, which was really sad because I was literally in the hospital, but whatever. So I'm hoping to like make up for everyone that left and get a good amount of subscribers again. Also like the video if you want to, because it's nice and it helps me get views and it helps boost my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do not have an outro. I used to have one and I don't even remember what it is, but I hated it, so I stopped. So I don't have an outro. Thank you for watching. I love you. I just keep saying thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share, do all the things, and follow me on Instagram and on Twitter because I want followers. And peace out.
I wanna go somewhere alone, feeling the pressure in my bones, breaking me down, spinning me out, keeping my head up in the clouds. I know